All right. There we go. Perfect. Technical difficulties right off the rip. My camera keeps being goofy, man.
I was wondering what's going on. All right.
Perfect. All right. Well, Jimmy's not drunk. He can see me now. I'm not drunk. I'm right here. What's going on, Jimmy? It's really
Not
good
too
to
much.
get back on here together, man. How have you been?
Good. Busy. Summertime was supposed to be chilling, but been working like a dog. So getting stuff done around the house and all that good stuff. Lots of Star Wars, man. Lots and lots and lots of Star Wars, which is awesome. So
Oh yeah, I know. I've been wanting to chill out too, but like you said, with the kid and work and trying to push more Star Wars content, from it seems like we're both doing that, so that never slows down. But yeah, I mean, it's been a good summer so far, so real busy, and I guess that's a good thing though. At the end of the
yeah,
day.
yeah, not too
So
bad.
hell yeah, but man, today we're gonna be talking about it kind of like an open range of things. We have Quinlan Voss, Asajj Ventress, Dark Disciple, the Clone
Mm.
Wars,
Oh yeah,
Tales of the Underworld,
yeah.
Bad Batch. It all ties in. The Kenobi
Connect
series.
Kenobi series. I even think that there might be a connection with the Jedi Fallen Order games.
Oh
So
yeah. Cal
yeah,
talks about the hidden path as well.
yeah. So
Wow, yeah. So I mean, ultimately everything from between like little after the events of Attack of the Clones leading up to, I mean, who knows, Rebels maybe a little bit further, even with
yeah,
the
sometime in
Inquisitors.
there. I was trying to look at timelines and things like that for everything that was coming out. When these things were happening. But yeah, because I think what Dark Disciples in between Revenge and Attack of the Clones. Yeah, like is that when it's set?
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know.
You know
Good.
me, Jimmy's the reader, guys. He has the books. This is the only book I got. It's not surprising though, with Quinlan, but yeah, this is a great read. I actually started doing the audio book too.
Oh, it's so good. Mark Thompson narrates it, and that guy. If you don't like to read, just listen to any Star Wars book that Mark Thompson narrates. And it's because Star Wars Lucasfilm Publishing, they put the sound effects and they put the music, and it's a good way to get into them, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot
So
better. And plus it's cheap. Like Audible, I think you get like 2 or 3 months free and then it's like, $10 a month after that.
it's way cheaper to get a subscription. You get one book a month. But I always forget to turn it off, so I end up with like 4 or 5 credits, and I shut it down for 6 months. Um, but yeah, I mean, because you buy it, you get an audio book, it's like $45, but if you have the thing, it costs you like $14.99, or I don't even know, but it's definitely cheaper, and it's a good way to like get into some Star Wars if you're a busy schedule, commuting and things like that. That's what on my bike rides and on my commutes, I'll listen a lot of times if I'm not listening to like someone else's like podcast or something.
Yeah. Yeah, and plus, I mean, speaking of listening to podcasts, how was your time with Wim himself just this last
Oh
week?
my gosh, these kids, for people who don't know from your channel, I'm a high school teacher. My wife and I both are. So, we've interviewed Kiriana Cratter, who played KB, and she was incredible. And then we got fortunate enough that we're patient and we waited, and we finally got Ravi, the young man who played Wim, and he's a freshman. He'll be a freshman this year, and the stuff that he's doing, and he told us during the podcast, and even some stuff off air, I'm like, the average kid is a dud. Just like these, but
Mhm.
I mean, these are gifted kids. They're super talented. They're just more driven, I think. And I do think sometimes they come from a little bit better means than some of this. I don't want to knock on kids, but this kid is writing, producing, directing, starring, in
Yeah,
his
that's
own movie
crazy.
that he's created. And I can't get a kid to turn in an assignment that I gave him 15 minutes. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, ah. But yeah,
Wow.
outstanding young man. He's got something big in the works. He wouldn't tell us what it was. Well, obviously, fingers crossed. It's like season 2 of Skeleton Crew. He did tell us a fun story about getting to meet Tom Holland, like via a face chat, while they're filming stuff, and we all were like, man, you'd be a great Miles Morales.
Oh yeah,
So
live
just
action. Yeah.
yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. I mean, you got the director, you got that connection now. The Spider-Man writers and directors with was it Ford and Watts? So who
Hmm.
knows? But yeah, he couldn't tell us, but he says that whatever's coming is going to be huge. So pretty
Oh
excited for
wow,
it. Yeah,
wow, damn. Yeah,
and that
and
starts filming in July, I think. So just around the corner.
oh yeah, so he's gonna be real busy.
Oh yeah, he just come off some show, Grasslands on Apple. I haven't got to watch it yet. I will though, just because I want to keep tabs on this young man and watch him and the rest of that crew of kids grow up. Because then Ryan just became Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or the next incarnation of it. And I here's my dark secret, folks. I heart Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show, man. Oh god, I loved it. So like you got Buffy and you got Star Wars. I'm just like, let's go.
Yeah, tying in two worlds. I love it,
Yeah.
dude. And that's the thing I noticed too with KB. Like that's my favorite of the group. So when you
Mhm.
guys had her, I was like, man, that's so cool. Really good episode. Um, and then of course with Wim, it's crazy how they're so well spoken.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not like you guys are talking to a middle school kid.
No, it
They're
doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, it's insane. And plus I mean, they're just very intelligent to the sense of like even just simple
Yeah, I
communication.
mean, he was telling us how he was writing. He was journaling as Wim to get ready for the character. So he was like writing down his days as that character. So I mean, he's sitting there like we try to have kids process in the high school level, try to process things through their own eyes, and he's trying to process it through a whole different character. I don't have a mom, these different things, and it was impressive, man. Like these kids
Wow.
they're really impressive, and their schooling's a little bit different. We talked about that with both of them, just how school works and things like that, and a lot of homeschooling and then stuff on site. But they do a pretty awesome job.
Yeah, that's cool. I did love to hear that he is picking up basketball as well.
Yeah,
Me being the
yeah,
basketball guy, I absolutely love to hear the youth picking up a ball. So that's cool.
yeah, good stuff.
We got Mr. Skywalking Ryan. How you doing, man? Thanks for chiming in. Hey, how's it going? It's going good, man. Going good. About to dive into some like I said, a very wide range of characters into series and films potentially. So, well,
Yeah.
Jimmy, it's kind of started off, dude. What did you think of Tales of the Underworld? Just because I don't even think we've really talked too
No,
much.
we
Because I know at Celebration you got to see the first two episodes.
yeah,
I
we got
had
to
to wait
see.
till it hit Fortnite.
Yes. Did we see the first two? Yeah, I think
Or the
yeah, I
first
can't remember
episode,
exactly,
maybe.
but yeah, we saw at least one of them. Um, I I think Asajj Ventress is one of the most like she's an incredible character, and I know that they want to do more with her. And that stems all the way back to when I met Nikki Fuderman at Planet Comic Con there in Kansas City. She said there was more coming. I'm
Yes.
assuming this is in it. I feel like this is just their way of teasing us, but I really enjoyed it. I really like that. The Cad Bane stuff was really good. But yeah, I think those stories, like they just do so. It's incredible to me. I don't know about you. Probably feel the same way because you and I are a lot alike. But how much storytelling they can do in these short 15 minutes segments,
Yeah.
it just blows me away. So I loved them. I've loved them all. They haven't all like been perfect in my eyes. Like I still don't think Morgan Elsbeth makes a whole lot of sense, but everything else has been really good, really really good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that the Tales of series, I mean, I mean, even just Tales of the Jedi, like I just watched that the other day and I was just like, man, I forgot how cool this one was.
Well, yeah, what blew me away was Ahsoka's one of my favorite characters. I really don't like that arc. I felt like he was just trying to like show why she was ready for season 7. Like felt like he had to justify himself or something because people give him such a hard time about Ahsoka being like, supercharged Jedi, but whatever. But I didn't realize that Yaddle had left the Jedi Council. Like she'd left.
Hmm.
And that's just like something that I don't even remember people talking about when we got that. Like we
Yeah.
talked about how cool it was, and oh, that explains where she went, which I thought was super clever. But then, I mean, I probably watched that 3 or 4 times when it first came out. I just popped it on the other day because I love Count Dooku's arc, and And I was like, is that the first time I'm hearing her say she left the Jedi Council or left the Order? And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And then, whack. And it's like, oh, okay. But I don't
Yeah.
remember anybody talking about that when it came out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
that threw me for a loop too, when that first came out. Because of course, like in Legends, she like protected Anakin from like a bombing or something, or like an explosion of some sort, and she ended up, dying for him, like to save him. So that's why Legends and canon always just throw me off. That's why I just try to
yeah.
stick to canon.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, we didn't know for the longest time what actually, went on. So I mean, just to know, I mean, her going to Dooku's kind of crazy. But even, speaking of Tales of the Jedi with Count Dooku, I mean, that's what Dark Disciple is all about, is trying to
Yeah.
get, knocked out. So, I mean, yeah, dude, Tales of the Underworld is really, really good. I enjoyed it, but of course, getting a minute or two of Quinlan Voss, I'm just like, more, please.
Yeah. I wondered how you'd feel about that. Just, the fact that they brought that scene from Dark Disciple to life.
Ah,
It really
dude.
bums me out because I was doing my research and for some reason, I thought it was just a couple of it was an 8-episode arc written
Hmm.
by George Lucas's daughter for
Yeah.
season 7 and 8. Um, I would love to see that played out. Like, I would love to see them make that book into an animated series.
Yeah. I what's really cool is Mr. Al Rodrigo, Quinlan Voss himself, the voice actor, gave me a follow on Instagram, and I was just like, dude, how cool is this? And I feel like I kind of had to downplay some of my love for Quinlan just because I just really think there's something bigger coming. Whether that
Yeah.
is that arc of Dark Disciple and what was supposed to be in Clone Wars, I really just think that's next. Because like if you look at all 6 of the Tales of series, like of the arcs, they're all wrapped up or concluded in some way.
Hmm.
Asajj's is the only one that is left wide open, and I feel like
Yeah.
that is just for it's for a reason. So I really
Yeah.
think that that's going to be its own little series, or maybe after the Clone Wars movie, back in the mid 2000s, everyone didn't like it, but I think they can make another animated movie, and this would hit.
I think they've learned as they went that, Star Wars is for kids, but it's for giant kids as well. And you got to make those people who have the money, you got to make them happy as well. And, some of the best storytelling we've seen in Star Wars, Clone Wars, Bad Batch, Rebels. I mean, but we get more time with them too. You know what I mean? So, but
Yeah,
yeah, I think that everything, because even the Barriss Offee arc in Tales of the Empire, she may have been doing something with the path as well, and we don't know how that one ended. Which was hilarious because we're like, oh, we're finally going to figure out what happens to her, and then of course they left it, up for debate, I guess. Still,
yeah. I know, and I was never too into Barris's character. I mean, in the Clone Wars, she just irritated me so
oh,
much
I
at
hated
times.
her. Yeah,
And I was just like, why is it like how is she part of the Empire? Same with, Morgan Elsbeth. Even though I love her character, I just feel like in Tales they could have like the first episode was really cool, of course, because like we got to see Dathomir.
yes.
But kind of going in like almost under like Thrawn's like
Doesn't make any
wing.
sense.
Yeah, it was
It's
just kind of
so
weird.
that story does not make any sense to me, and I feel like I'm missing something as a fan and as someone who watches it. I digest just as much Star Wars as you do probably, and I feel like I'm like, man, something is missing. They forgot
Hmm.
to tell us something because the people that killed her family and sisters, now she goes and works with them, and that's
Yeah,
how
that
she's getting her revenge. Like I'm like, what is that? Unless she had some other like plan that she doesn't get to see because of how Ahsoka ended for her. But yeah, that one never made any sense to me, not from the get go. So, character is awesome, and then
yeah.
you got the goddaughter of Bruce Lee kicking some
Yes.
butt. So you can't beat that.
I know when I see some of her interviews, I'm like, why are you guys not talking about this? I know it's about her, but it's just like, like
Yeah,
her upbringing, like kind of being around Bruce Lee, and her parents are very talented too. So yeah.
yeah,
Um, one thing I do take from the Ahsoka series is when Thrawn says for the Empire, and then like under her breath she says for Dathomir. It's like, okay, I kind of get that connection now, but still, it's just like just a little bit more. Need a little bit
yeah,
more.
yeah. I feel maybe we'll see what happens. Like maybe those three sisters that make it back and all that stuff that's in those cargo ships or those cargo holds. Maybe that'll be something that's part of the plan, and she's willing to sacrifice herself for it. But until we see that, it's still just up in the air to me. Like, doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. I
So,
agree with that.
but fun story, fun animation, just but yeah,
Yeah. I you know, I think what's really cool is them showing the ending of Dark Disciple with Quinlan and Asajj. I think that is really cool, and I think that's going to give us a little bit more going forward. Just because after seeing that, I expect to see the entire story now. And if you haven't read the book, I mean, you don't really know what goes on. I mean, unless you watch like a quick YouTube video, Wikipedia, anything like that. I mean, but I just think it would be really cool as if they made another animated movie in Clone Wars style, you know, because we get
that would
series after series, but like this could be like the like kind of like the redemption after like the Clone Wars movie, you know, with
yeah.
Ahsoka and Rhoda and Anakin. Like this could really be a hit. And I mean, what Star Wars love story have we seen? When have we seen an assassination attempt by the Jedi, you know,
Yeah.
working with the Sith to, you know, well, Asajj to take down, you know, Count Dooku? It's a good story, dude.
It is intense. It shows you how desperate the Jedi were to do things. It also goes into my I don't like Mace Windu category because he's not
Oh
a good
yeah.
Jedi. Uh, uh, yeah, I think that that would be a hell of a move by Disney Lucasfilm if they did make that into an animated film with the animation from Bad Batch.
Mm,
I, just or the Tales of series now. I mean, it's all the same, but that would crush.
yeah.
Action's great in it. The story's in it. You're going to watch someone getting trained in in the dark side. It was pretty intense. You got more Dathomir. I won't give too much away of the book, but I mean, you have some really great scenes, and you have stuff during the Clone Wars that's happening with Quinlan and all that stuff too. So that would
Mhm.
be, oh, that would be great.
Dude. And like and also too like for someone who would be kind of new to the topic is I mean if you like Count Dooku you're going to see a lot of Dooku
Yeah.
and you know we don't really get to see too much one-on-one time with Asajj and Dooku in the Clone Wars but
Mm-mm.
seeing that with Quinlan Vos and like even in the background here I have him with the red lightsaber like dude like could you imagine just seeing him with like Sith eyes and like
Oh gosh.
and you
Yeah.
know also not to give too much away kind of like you said but like you know, when Asajj basically helps him come back to the light, and then they kind of realize that the bond and like the love they have for each other in that short amount of time is what
Mm-hmm.
can overthrow him. But I mean, obviously, it's a little too late. And I
Yeah.
mean, what's so cool is at the beginning of Tales of the Underworld, you see how like sad and like defeated um, Quinlan is, and then you look at Obi-Wan, and he's just silent, and that speaks millions of words
Yeah.
he's been there. Like he's, you know, Satine, you know, fell, you know, and it's just like, dude,
And I
the
think he
connection.
has a soft spot for Asajj too, because I mean they're always joking and flirting around with each other. But you know, they made her a bad guy, but she was never really that bad. She did some
Yeah.
things, but then she has her redemption, like they always get in Star Wars. If you like Dark Disciple, another book, Dooku was it Jedi Lost?
Mm.
It's like this thing, and
I know about that one.
it's mostly Asajj's story, like she's doing things, and so there's a lot of good character development between her and Count Dooku, and you get a lot of backstory on Asajj in that too, because like her actual master, like she hears his voice when she's doing things. Like it's kind of cool, and it makes me Asajj is like this Shakespearean character in Star Wars, and she just had this like she finally figures it out, and then of course it ends the way it ends, and now we
Yeah.
get to see what happens. Hopefully, we get to see more of it though. But her story arc is phenomenal,
Yeah.
just
It's
all
really,
over.
it's so cool too. And like also for like you know, a lot of there's always that open topic of people saying there's not enough female leads in Star Wars, which
She's
I
awesome.
mean, yeah, she's amazing. I mean, you can look at Princess Leia, Ray, even, you know, we've been talking
Mhm.
about Ray in the Discord a lot. I mean, but there's just so much like that could really just be great for Asajj Ventress. I mean, she could even be, I mean, you can pick up from Tales of the Underworld where she, you know, where Lyco could have went to the path, you know, like he was right there, but he decides to go with her.
And
Um,
there's something about her that just attracts people to her. She's a leader. I always say that when we want to do this episode where it's like Beth, the Sith that would have been good Jedi and Jedi that would have been good Sith, and like she would have been. I mean, other than her emotions, but I
yeah,
think she'd have been a different person had she been found by the Order or not found by the Order, because she was found by a Jedi, but had he not gotten taken out and her training got completed, I just think she would have been like risen to the ranks way up, in the ranks of the Jedi Order had she given the chance, like her and Maul both. So,
Oh yeah.
um, but yeah, it's an interesting story, and it's a tragic story. It's weird that you feel so much for a character that, and we just get bits and pieces from her over the years.
Yeah.
You know,
Just yeah, I need more. And you feel, yeah, like you said, like you sometimes you feel really bad for her. Like even in like the Bad Batch, it's even just like, man, like, I wish she would have, like the group, like the Bad Batch goes after her, like they, go to fight her, and it's just like she doesn't, at first she doesn't want to, and then she's like, well, I guess I'll, I have to, whoop your guys' butts real quick. And I mean, she
yeah, she
does,
does.
but like the way she was with Omega too, it was that shows that leadership, aspect of her. And I need
Mhm.
to see more of that. Cause like even in Dark Disciple, she leads Quinlan almost like through the whole story, just kind of showing him how things work and like what goes on. And I mean,
If they
I,
want strong female characters in Star Wars, that's one. I mean, everything she does, she's like the best at it. And
mm-hmm,
I think she was not a good Sith because that's not really who she was.
right.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like she just not fully committed to doing the things that she was supposed to be doing, and I just don't think that's who she is as a character.
Yep.
Because I mean, we get to see her doing a lot of fun things and a lot of good things. I mean, she helps Ahsoka at the end, that whole Barriss Offee arc and things like that
Yeah.
when Ahsoka leaves the Order, and just all the stuff that you know she does. Even with the episodes where she's like with Boba Fett and all them when he's young, and she like double crosses them because they're doing the wrong thing, and she's like, damn it, fine, you know.
Yep. Yeah, I love that arc too. I like because I'm pretty sure it was Bosk, right? Who was just like, well, she killed one of ours, so like she's gonna fill his spot, like when they go with young Boba. Yeah. See,
Yeah.
she knows everyone. She's seen everyone. I mean, she's fought Anakin. She's fought, who's Darth Vader, the almost the focal point of the entire story of Star Wars. Boba Fett, freaking Count Dooku, Obi-Wan. Like she's been there, and plus, like the Clone Wars is probably arguably one of like the coolest times
Oh yeah.
during the prequel era, maybe even Star Wars alone. I mean, most of your lore picking Star Wars characters really pull from the Clone Wars. They know each different clone battalion. They know what character belonged in what arc. I mean, so yeah, dude, I think these Saz Ventress, Quinlan Voss, Count Dooku. I just think that would be an amazing story just to bring to our eyes. Live action would be cool, but I just think keep it animated because that's what they
Yeah.
are.
I don't know. It would be really hard to cast someone to look like Asajj, I feel like.
Yeah. Same with
And
Quinlan, I
I
think
still
too.
struggle with Ahsoka. Like I still struggle
Mm,
with, like, I think Rosario's great, but just it
yeah, no,
I'm not,
it's
and I'm not in a negative way. I'm like, oh, I hate, so like I love that show, but I just I struggle with them coming out and switching them over like that. I just it didn't work for me. Still doesn't that well. Maybe I'll get used to it the more we get we're with her. But yeah, I would definitely down for animation. Plus, they can do crazier things in the animation. They can make them do a lot more action and stuff like that. The kind of things we want to see. They
mm-hmm.
could do it. I mean, they wanted to. They could do it like they did that big fight scene with Ahsoka and Maul, and like do the mocap stuff. So
Yes.
it's like pretty sick, and the fighting and stuff like that. But yeah, do something like that. Bring her back. I really do think that there's something coming from Lucasfilm with her, because it would make. I understand Tales of the Empire, or Tales of, what was this last one, Underworld.
Underworld, yeah.
I understand her story coming up there. It makes no sense for her to show up in Bad Batch whatsoever. Like that was just the weirdest cameo.
Was that the appetizer that she was talking about?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Is she was like, oh, there's more to come, because that had happened, and then so I was like, and then Planet Comic Con was like right around the corner, so I was like, well, I'm gonna go meet her and see if I can get her to say anything. And then Nika Fuderman, the lady who voices her, and then we were gonna get her on the show, and then all of a sudden she just disappeared because I think she's telling too many people too many things.
Mm,
And but yeah, so I don't know. It didn't make any sense to me in Bad Batch. I'm glad to see her. Like I love that, and it was interesting. but it just, more questions, didn't really make sense. I think the Tales of the Underworld made absolutely perfect sense
Yeah.
for her to show up. But are we getting a Tales of the Path next time, or what are we going to get? And
Mm.
so I'm looking forward to the next May the 4th.
Yeah, for real. That I know, and it's nice to know that it's something we can look forward to. Is, we
I
get a
hope
little
forever.
animated series.
Yeah,
Yeah,
keep
I mean,
doing it.
and for the most part, I feel like the input is amazing. I feel like most people really enjoy these. I mean, they're
Mhm.
short, they're sweet,
Yeah, not too
straight
much
to
of
the
an
point.
investment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Plus,
for
it's that
sure.
good Clone Wars animated style. It's peak.
Yeah,
It's perfect.
awesome. It's beautiful stuff.
Yeah. So kind of with the path, like what do you think like we could see? Because I want to know what you think. Like, so is it strictly going to be like the Underground Railroad of Star Wars, like how a lot of people look at it? What do you like? What do you think?
Yeah, see, I think for me personally, like, and I don't do a whole lot of like fan theory stuff because I just like kind of take what comes and I make predictions and stuff. But this really strong feeling that like the path is the way to bridge all these Jedi with Rey, and I know that's probably not going to be super popular, but Rey is Disney Lucasfilm's only real asset right now. Like that's all they've got is her until they bring someone new into the building. But I just see it as this branch of storytelling, and it looks to me like Filoni and them have learned from Kevin Feige, where there's just you think about all the Marvel movies that we've watched over the years, and how they just drop these little nuggets. And I'm not talking about like the cut scenes at the end and stuff like that, but there'll be little things that happen throughout, and then it all kind of comes ties together, and that's why I think like Infinity War was so big and stuff like that. And I think that's what they're finally doing with Star Wars, and they've learned to be patient with their storytelling. So we're just getting these little tidbits here and there, like here's this, here's that. You get Quinlan's name, briefly mentioned in Kenobi.
Mhm.
That path, that's there. Um, you've got different places, and I feel like you start putting it out there, and they've done a really good job, just like what they're doing with the High Republic, where they threw that into the Jedi Fallen Order or whatever that was, Survivor. I always get it messed up. And they kind of piece things in there, and they're just kind of making it part of. Before you know it, it's going to feel like it's always been there, and then they can just sit there and they can like this path is why, because I know a lot of fans like my age, people who grew up with the original trilogy, in our eyes Luke Skywalker was it.
Yeah.
Like there are no other Jedi, right? Which kind of makes it's kind of impossible, I think. But like I think this is the way to branch that and show where all these Jedi have been, and then they can bring Jedi back, and it can just start like they don't have to like start from scratch with Rey. Does that make sense? So
No, that
like
does make
I
sense.
envision this big like Infinity War, like all of a sudden ships are showing up, and it's like Cal Kestis with a group of people from Talinor, and then they've taken
Yes.
people there because that's a secret path, and his whole mission is protecting these kids, and who knows what the third game will be about. But I just feel like it's going to be this thing, and no one knows how long Asajj or what Quinlan's not necessarily he's like a humanoid, right? Or is he human? I can't remember, but
Yeah.
these characters in the Force can
Kefarian.
live for hundreds of years. This would be the way to like the Simon Kinberg stuff kicks off in a couple of years or whatever,
Oh
and then
yeah.
you have a whole army of Jedi and Padawan that all makes sense.
God, that'd
And that's
be
just
awesome.
I don't know, why that because usually like I said, I usually stay away from trying to make any predictions. It's just like if I were doing it, the path would be the way I think that you could make it all make sense in a way. And then for people my age, like the grumpy old white dudes that are like, oh, that's not my Star Wars. If they give the storytelling a chance and let it make sense instead of fighting it, you know, I think is a great way to just pull everything back together and then start anew with Ray and whatever comes from her. You
Yeah.
just have to accept it. Like she's the next chapter and whatever she develops. So
Yeah, I think that too, man. I mean, it's like, yeah, we've had all this time, and that's a good point you bring up too, with like Luke, him being the only one. And I mean, kind of like when you go back and kind of look at the prequel trilogy, you're like, oh my god, there's like 40 Jedi, like different, like masters at that point, even though there's so many more. That's why I always find it weird with people um talking about like the acolyte in some ways, where it's just like, oh, like they had all these Jedi and they were just gone all of a sudden, and it's like, well, like it can't just stem from one person. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, yeah, at one point it was like Luke was all we had. Like that was the story. And then here's this other story, like the precursor, and here's all of these Jedi. And then when you go back even further, because I'm pretty sure, like I'm not too, big on the High Republic. I don't know too much about it, but I mean, there's so many Jedi, right?
Thousands of Jedi. It's
Right.
phenomenal time period, and they're changing like some things that is awesome. I mean, we just got the last book out of I think 26 books. But yeah, the High Republic does a great job of setting up what the Jedi and their actual prime look like.
Yeah. So see,
So
it's just like there's there's always more. Like there's always so many, so it's one of those things too where it's just like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But
and there's Force sensitives out there. So like, yeah, maybe you knocked out all the Jedi, but there's people growing up with the Force.
oh yeah.
You can't stop that. You can't wipe that out, no matter how much the Empire tried. So there's going to be people that can do things. Maybe they just need, you need that training, and especially with the way they've done Ahsoka and having Sabine not be that powerful in it, but she's able to become a Jedi. Whether you like that or not, that's part of that storytelling where they're changing the narrative a little bit. And so, like, you know, and it makes sense to me. Like the Force runs through everything, connects everything. That means everyone has the Force. It's just harder for some people to tap into it.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
So
that's why I always applaud Dave Filoni, because he does that with Sabine. Where like at
mhm.
first I was like, no, I don't really care for it. But then again, it's just like the way it was like put out there, it makes sense now. It gives you hope, which is a running topic in Star Wars. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm always cool with that. I mean, not that big of a deal. Will of the Force chiming in. Saj is such a great Star Wars, and we need more of her story after Bad Batch. I agree. I really think that's the direction we should go to. My bad. I thought this was a Labubu podcast. No, it is not. But thanks for chiming in, dude. Yeah, I think. I mean, kind of going back to the main premise is like, with Asajj Ventress and Quinlan during this time, there's so much that we could expect from them. But there's always that one thing kind of hanging over me. And I didn't even think of it this way. So me and my friend Jacob, we got on Fortnite and we watched the first 2 episodes. And at this point, I had already watched them like twice, maybe, because I mean it's only 30 minutes, so I got
Yeah.
time for this. So we watched it again, and he was just like, "So can Asajj not see Quinlan? Like, is that like a thing? Can she not like be seen by him?" Because I was kind of like, "What are you talking about?"
Mhm. Oh
And
yeah.
when Mother Talzin was speaking to her in the like afterlife, she was like, "You can go back, or you can stay here with your sisters." And it was kind of more of this thing where it's like, well, the thing that'll keep you alive is the love that you guys shared for each other, right? So when she comes back, it's like she is like poof, like into the real world again, but like Quinlan and Kenobi are gone. And it feels like every single time that Asajj is like mentioned by Lyco, like he like kind of, it's like, oh, that rings a bell again. And it's just like that's why she's alive, is because of Quinlan, like the attachment they have. And it's just, and that was something that made me think too. I was like, I didn't see it that way. So every single time she gets closer and closer to him, she like kind of backs out. So
Yeah.
when she could have went with him on the ship, which is also a cool little reference to Kenobi, because it's just like there's always just this ship sitting waiting, and it's gonna leave. It's kind of like that bus like that takes off, but it's it's just kind of weird because it's like, well, you're right there, just go so you can be back with him. So I don't know if it's like this thing where maybe, I don't know, like it's going to be like just a runaround if they're to get a continuated story, and maybe that's going to ultimately like kill her, as if she like establishes that connection. I don't know. It was just something kind of weird that I was thinking about too.
Yeah, I wondered about that too. Like, what does it mean? Like, yeah, I mean, well, I mean, we don't know until we know, I guess. But I just assumed she was afraid to see him again because of everything they'd gone through and had to explain, like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, But I just kind of the way that storytelling, I think it was, the beginning there was just a way to save time, was to make it like she finally came out of that. They were long gone by that point. Because there's all that stuff that was there when he was bringing her body in. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they play that. Because I mean, there's all kinds of stories out there where you know, these lovers can't be together, and what's that stupid movie with Will Smith and Charlize Theron where they had to go their separate ways because like if they're too close to each other they lose their powers, and then if they had to stay separated and they have them, it was
Yeah,
Hancock, right?
Hancock.
But there's
Yes.
different versions of that story and this idea of like that she dies if they get too close or something, or they end up, falling back in love. I mean, I'm assuming that neither one of them is ever going to get over the other, so they're not out of love. So, like, what's the kicker? You know what I
Right.
mean? So she has to live and be miserable in the universe, or she can die and be happy. I don't know, but I
Yeah.
mean, that's why I don't get paid millions of dollars a year to make up stories because I don't know.
Dude, that's the worst too. Cause like I always think that too. Cause like in my head, I'm like, dude, I am cooking this idea right now. This is like $1 million thing. But like at the same time, it's just like, that's not how it works because I like even I mean, you probably get in Instagram comments and or Twitter and you just see like this these rambling of voices where it's just like you guys aren't even making sense. And plus you write me a story. That's always what I fall to. It's like you write me a story. Let's see
Yeah,
how good this one is.
I tell you what, to try to do that, yeah, I mean, I think people underestimate how, and I'm sure there's probably somebody out there who's, you know, yelling and screaming. They probably could write a great story. They just aren't.
Hmm.
But 99% of the people would not be able to write a cohesive story that made any sense because they don't think about long term. They just think about what they want right now. Like everyone's Sith like. They just think about the immediate gratification. I want this right now, and so to sit there and set things up, the long game is difficult, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
why like Filoni and those guys are the Jedi and we're all the Sith because we're like, we want this now.
Yep. We're absolutely dealing in absolutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know it's such a weird thing. Got some more people chiming in. Carbonites, what's up, man? Vincent, nice to or not to get political, but what do you guys think about the Trade Federation blockade above Naboo?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. We don't want to get political here, man.
Yeah, we can't do that. Come on, Vincent. Trying to stir everyone up. I wonder what Quinlan Voss would think. We should ask him. Howl Runner Base, what's up? What's up? Nice to see you in here. New sub and seeing you on Instagram as well. Appreciate you chiming in. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of there's so much to talk about too with this time period. I would also one main thing though that I have written down is I really want to see Quinlan just go all out against some Inquisitors. Like
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
that would be so amazing to see because I mean, with Riva, I mean Riva finding the path, she's seen
Mhm.
it firsthand. She literally walked through it. And she actually read the wall of the Jedi carvings. So I mean, maybe she's seen some people on there that she recognized their writings and names. But obviously, I don't think she delivered that to anyone because she was just so about finding Kenobi.
Yeah.
So I think that was just kind of out the way there. But I mean, that would be so cool to see Inquisitors like kind of discovering the path once again and just Asajj and because I mean Asajj has already gone against an Inquisitor.
Yeah.
She actually got beat, until Lyco came around.
Yeah.
So
I
I
was
would
kind of
love to see
surprised by
her and
that.
yeah. Oh yeah, I was too. I was like, wait a second. Yeah, like I would expect her to stomp him out. Um
Kind of feel like it was kind of like the early Kenobi episodes where he's like underpowered because she hasn't really used the Force. So she's
true.
kind of getting back into it. So that's because
So,
that was my head canon was like, this isn't too long after she just got resurrected from but who knows how much time had passed. But yeah, I would, because we barely get, I mean, we see Quinlan in like 3 or 4 episodes, maybe in Clone Wars. Do we get that many?
dude,
There's one.
so we get the hunt for Zero, which is the big episode, and that's where they fight Cad Bane, and it's nothing crazy. Cad Bane with a lightsaber that is canon, guys. Um, and then he's in Yoda's like dark side flash, like where he sees Bane,
Mm,
he sees Qui-Gon, he sees Quinlan, Mace, like he sees all of them dying, and
yeah.
uh, and so yeah, Quinlan was one of them. But it's just like it's such a character that everyone like knows about, but doesn't know about.
It's weird that people know about him as much as they do, of how little time he's actually gotten on any screen. I mean, Dark Disciples is the first time you ever get any real story about him.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah, it's kind of crazy to me that he does have such. That happens to a lot of characters, that mystery around him. You
Mm-hmm.
know, hopefully, if they do bring him, they don't Boba Fett him up. So
Yeah, maybe hopefully not. That'd be amazing. But like that was one of the main things that I really just want to see is Asajj and Quinlan just taking on some Inquisitors. Like, could you imagine the action sequence? You know,
oh,
what Inquisitors could we see? Because depending on the time frame, I mean, you can see Grand Inquisitor, fifth brother, second sister. Um, uh, I don't know if Maroc would be at this time as well, because I mean he's going to be in um the Maul Shadow Lord animation. Like
yeah,
he's like one of the guys. But like literally, you have this right here. You have this much story, and everyone who worked on it, like what was it? Katie Lucas, the
yeah, Katie
daughter.
Lucas.
Katie,
Yep.
she knows. Get her back in. Have Filoni, sprinkle his love on it. Um, and I mean, how many times have we seen books come to movies and it's, just as good or if not better, so
Yeah. When they follow the book,
yes, I
it's
agree.
when they make these massive changes because they think they know better. I'm like, the book's popular for a reason.
Hmm.
Don't jack it up
Yeah.
because you think you know better. You don't. And that's what, like frustrates me about like the Acolyte versus the High Republic, because they're not the same to
Yeah.
me. Like they just took a character, they just grabbed a character and ruined her for this TV show. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll
Oh,
talk about that later this afternoon. Who knows?
yeah, for sure. I'm saving up for that. And I'm also not going to be, okay. So if we were to do this like 8 months ago, I would be a little upset because that was just the time where I was just like, God, people suck, just because
Yeah, it was rough.
but I just really enjoyed it. And I mean, we're Star Wars fans, we're passionate about it, but there's a way to be passionate and not hateful. It's two completely
Yeah.
different things. But yeah, I mean, 1000%. It's just, yeah, man, I want it so bad. Is there any other notes or anything that you have or thoughts for the
Well, I just think that there's so much potential with the storytelling around this path. And you could even, think about this. Think about a series where like the path is like the main focus of the show, and you could have these cameos of characters coming in and out, help, you have Rex and some of those guys. I mean, you could just do so much with the storytelling. And then again, you could then set things up for Ray to make her successful,
mm,
because they need to do that. They
yeah,
need to make her successful, because as soon as they, once again, they just announced that it's a delay, which is fine. But, uh, she needs all the help she can get because there's a lot of fans that don't like her. But if they set some story up and you get characters that people love, Quinlan and Asajj and these different people like that, and you pull them all together, and then bam, they're there. I just think the potential for the hidden path is such a. And then anyone who says that like Star Wars isn't political are idiots. And sorry if I upset anyone with that comment, but like the
yeah,
hidden path, the Underground Railroad, the concept, like all these concepts from the beginning, it's been that way. But So I just think the potential for this, just something little tiny that they set up and how it's slowly growing. It's almost like the Mon Mothma effect, where we had this small character in Return of the Jedi, and now she's becoming this beloved character who's going to be like this cornerstone for the stuff that's happening right after Return of the Jedi.
that's
So
so awesome.
yeah, and I just think that they have that potential there, and I do think they're setting it up, slow going, but they're setting it up.
Right. And I mean, what? Because sometimes I always forget, like even like the Mando versus 7 9 years after Return of the Jedi, and so at that, I mean, if you look at it, like in the Mando verse, like Ben Solo, Kylo Ren is about 4 years old, I believe. So, and he's like 22, 23 in the times of Force Awakens. So, I mean, there's only 20 more years after this. So, this is like a really good prime time because sometimes I think that the um kind of like from A New Hope to Rise of Skywalker, it feels like it's like 90 years in my head
Yeah.
sometimes. It's just such a big, time jump. But I mean, it's really not. So I mean,
Mhm.
like you said, all of these characters can lead up to Rey. And I mean, even at the end of it all, I mean, was all the Jedi, and they all spoke to her. I mean, even like Anakin, like he said bring balance as I did, so it's kind of how you take it, but I mean it's awesome. So I mean this all kind of makes sense here. But we got some comments here. I'm gonna be out of pocket. Quinlan would never fall in love with Asajj.
Yeah, the heart wants what the heart wants, man.
Yeah, and also I mean it did happen. So
So yeah, what background do you have to say that? We don't know that much about the character, do we? Like, so I'm asking you, wild card. Like, do you know something about Quinlan Voss that we don't know? That you can make that statement. Like, I'm not coming down. I'm just curious. Like, maybe I'm missing something.
yeah, for sure. I mean there's a whole book that talks about it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's why I'm like,
and it's canon too. If it was Legends, I'd be like, yeah, true. Also, Andor, Rogue One are inferior to dark forces and storytelling, and even the creator of both Rogue One and Andor came out and confirmed it isn't Star Wars. Okay.
I don't know really what to say to that. I know
Yeah.
that Tony Gilroy said like the story and the idea could be told for anything. Like Andor seasons 1 and 2 could be told at any point in history, and they used Star
Right.
Wars to tell it. But I mean, it was Star Wars.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was the thing too. That was my favorite thing that Tony Gilroy said was just like, um, in one of those just recent interviews, he was just like, well, I mean, that group of people will take it however they want. He's like, just because there's not a lightsaber in it doesn't mean it's not Star Wars, which is like
Yeah,
awesome. I mean, people who say Andor is like the best Star Wars, I'm down with that, because it's amazing. It's really, really good. Um, you got Malekith in the building. What's up, Brandon, my old friend? What's up, man? Good to see you. How was meeting Mr. John Boyega? I know you told me about it, but dude, isn't that cool to see that Mr. Finn is going out to conventions now? Like that's awesome.
getting ready to go back to some
Get back
Star
to
Wars.
work.
Yeah,
That's
needs that money. Hasn't been
yes.
working too much since.
That's and also too one more thing before we go. I Manny Jacinto, seeing him at Celebration is probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And also him holding up the peace sign to everybody makes me think like, oh, Acolyte season 2.
That'd be sweet.
Right? I would love it. Okay, let's check this one out. As for Asajj's Ventress in the Clone Wars, she would not be betrayed until the Battle of Boss Pity, which is cool because that's where Quinlan Voss was. Yes, comic which featured an emotional betrayal of her confessing to Obi-Wan enemy intel before assumed dead. Then hijacking her would be funeral transport to explore the galaxy. And Quinlan also fell in love post Order 66 with someone. Yeah, but that is Legends. It's not canon.
Yeah, that's the problem. Wild card is like I get it. I know people love those stories, and
because he has a kid with this lady, and I cannot remember her name, but I mean, it is a cool story. But I mean, for this is about the hidden path, that we see in the Kenobi series, Bad Batch, games. I mean, we see it all here. And I mean, but yes, for sure. Legends is old canon, so it is canon, just not deemed to the current timeline. But yeah, but then that means it doesn't tie up because you're thinking of two different things. I get it though, 1000%.
yeah, I mean, some of my favorite books. I mean, like the Kenobi book that came out, Plagueis. I mean, there's some great canon
Oh
stories.
yeah,
There's also some terrible ones, but when that's in
yeah.
anything. So yeah, I just I think for this discussion, we're mostly focusing on what is considered canon,
Mm-hmm.
post Disney purchase. I'm assuming.
And plus, like, it's not saying those stories are bad because, like, I mean, even look at Starkiller, like, wow, what a character, But like, that's just not working in in the Skywalker canon timeline. It's just not working.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that's the thing too. Is I mean, sometimes that Legends material. It doesn't help that we had such a huge 20-year time gap from the original trilogy to the prequels. And now it's just like, oh, well, all of these stories have come out and now it's just like, oh, this is what we see. So sometimes expectations aren't met. So it's just like, oh well, that sucks. Even
Yeah, but
same with even the
that's on
same with
the
the sequel
individual.
trilogy. It's like, well,
Yeah.
that's not my Luke, and it's like, yeah, because
See,
we had so many stories to read about him, but it's that it just wouldn't make sense in what's going on.
yeah, but so this is the thing too, though, and we're going to talk about this on our show. We got the special guest coming in, so but like with Vernestra, right? If you haven't read the High Republic, then she's just this weird character in Acolyte. But you read all these books, and then all of a sudden you see this character, and you're like, well, how? And I found myself saying, well, this is not like my Vernestra Rowe. Like this isn't the character that I've. But instead of being a psycho fan and being like, that's not my Luke Skywalker, that's not my Vernestra Rowe, I'm like, all right, how did she get here instead? Like, tell me the story about how she got here and make that make sense to me. And they started doing that in the Wayseeker book. So I still think there's more to tell, but it was a good start to bring us from this character we love that was the youngest Jedi Knight ever to this grumpy old hag of a person in the Acolyte. So,
And
but you have to be patient, man. Like you got to be. So
plus two, like with Wildcard 2, like not even saying anything's wrong with what you're saying, 1000%.
yeah, that's
It's just more of like the story isn't even the hidden path really isn't even started yet. Story wise, like we get those little nuggets like Jimmy's saying, but it's not like we don't even know what it's even about yet. We haven't even seen it firsthand, so it's just one of those things. But yeah, like Howard Runner saying canon is a relative term. It is 1000%, because we've had so much material and we don't know what's right. Yes, Colleen Hentz, that's her name. They end up having a kid too. It's pretty cool.
yeah, but you had to kind of suspend. Like, I don't know. I guess I don't. I see it in two different categories where, like, we're looking at canon now, the stuff that we've done since Disney bought it, and we're just telling this story, and you kind of got to go with it. You have that stuff to happen, but it, I get it. I don't want to take anything away from anybody. I'm not that kind of Star Wars fan,
right?
But you got to be able to separate the two, or otherwise you're just going to be miserable. Like that's not my Star Wars. Well, that's fine, but they're not telling those stories anymore.
Yeah,
I get it. Like I want the Kenobi book to be the second season of the Kenobi show. It would be awesome, but it's not.
Yeah, for sure.
I get it though. It's difficult.
Yeah. All right. Last comment here. I've already erased Acolyte from my memories. I'm gonna send you a hour clip of just awesome Chimere moments, and you enjoy it, and you stare at it. Malekith.
No, I would disagree with Wildcard in this next one.
Acolyte, in my opinion, is already done properly. It's called Darth Plagueis, a retitle of the novel will make it even cooler than deep fake.
If they would make that canon, that would be phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Like that'd be the greatest story in Star Wars, I think, if they made that into a movie or a show or something. But
yeah,
and I think Acolyte was trying to set that up, which is something we'll talk about later. But yeah, just the potential drives me crazy. I get why people didn't like it, though. I understand it because there's parts of it I'm just like, ugh.
Right.
But you got to look at the storytelling and the potential, and
it just started season one. Season one
didn't deliver,
and that's okay. It's all love. But yeah, well, guys, thank everyone for tuning in. We Jimmy and I have a busy day today, so we're gonna go ahead and thanks for coming and talking the path with us. But yeah, guys, make sure you guys go follow Explore the Force, check out Jimmy and what they do over there. Like I said, they've had some amazing guests, and even recently they've had 2 of the 4 Skeleton Crew kids. So make sure you go check that out, and also subscribe here as well if you haven't already, and follow on Instagram, TikTok. I know you guys are on Threads, X, everything. So just Google Explore the Force and just go from there.
So
yeah, but for sure, guys. Well, thank you guys. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see y'all in the next one.